Mayday! Come in! If anyone can hear me, my starship has been pulled into the anomaly. I find myself in a strange new world. It is a world with no sun, no stars. It is a world of anime. Comics. Here we go! Gaming. world is the
Rogue Planets.
with your host, the Fat Mantis HD.
Hello and a welcome to Rogue Planet. I am your host, the Fat Mantis, and today we are going over Obi-Wan Kenobi, only found on Disney Plus. We're going to discuss the finale, the series, and everything about it. This series has been very diverse since day one. It has made some people extreme haters, and it has brought people together in the world of love. And before we get any further, I'm hoping that you like, share, subscribe, follow, or on whatever app you're enjoying this cast on. Please send some love. And a good way to send some love is to show us your comments. We'd love to talk to you, get down to it, get down to the nitty and the gritty. So, tonight's guest, you've heard him, the man, the myth, the legend, none other than Courtney Monroe of Lightsaber Nights, a Star Wars expert. He's basically my Star Wars correspondent. You've heard him on my Stranger Things cast, and he is here to bring the noise. Hello, Courtney.
Yes, sir. What's up?
How
man?
are you, my friend?
Hey, look, I am well. I'm still processing what we got.
There's a lot of processing to do. I saw when you watch it at 3 a.m. You're at first.
God.
I'm trying to not be quick to like pass judgment.
Yeah.
I woke up and watched it again for breakfast, and then so I feel like I'm ready to talk about it.
Oh, I think you are, man. 3 a.m. though, you are a champion, man. I just don't know how
what?
how you're able to do it, man. That is just so late, or I guess early, but depending on your perspective.
You know what it was? My curiosity was so extreme that I had to. I absolutely had to just know. I was just curious as to what they were going to give us and what they were going to deny us. Because if the things aren't on our wish list, it's basically a denial.
Yeah. This is straight logic for you, man. Straight up.
Laney O says, laugh out loud, I watched it twice.
Oh, damn, Laney. Okay. All right. Thorough. I see.
Welcome to everybody in the chat. I see you. I feel you. I love you. We grow together.
Hello. Hello. Yeah.
Carmencita, Laney O, Hannah Banana HD, Gray Winthrop. Yeah, thank you all for coming in. This is going to be one really good stream because we've really got to get down to it, right?
Oh, man, we are getting into it and getting into it heavy because this episode had a lot. There's a lot to talk about.
A lot to unpack, as they say. It's probably an overused terminology at this point.
Oh, but it applies heavily to what we're going to talk about. So,
yes,
overuse it.
Before we unpack anything, first thing I want to know is how are you doing tonight?
I am well, man. We are having some crazy storms here.
They're headed my way too, so I think.
Yeah. I was a little worried I was going to lose power, man, but we're here. So,
well, we're not through the broadcast yet, so let's cross our fingers and just hope, right?
Yes, sir.
Like Obi-Wan did in that episode. You just got to let hope take over.
Oh,
right?
Look at that! Look at that segue.
Yeah,
because that's why you're a professional.
Thank you. I really do believe that there was a lot of like metaphor for I would say God, but other than that, it's like you have to like hand it over to God was the bigger morality thing, in my opinion, of what I felt like I was seeing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, because throughout the series, Obi-Wan is hopeless and defeated and broken.
Yes.
And another thing is, there is no way he should have won that lightsaber fight.
Okay, so I was going to pick at that really hardcore, but you beat me to it. That is one of my bigger drawbacks of this episode.
So
yes,
I feel, and I'm gonna be critical like this. I feel that the series so far, what's going on with the writers is they really don't. Well, they're not very good. They don't understand. They don't like explaining things.
Right.
And I feel like the series in general has had this issue of them thinking that we have to do the heavy lifting of trying to figure out what is going on.
So I would agree, and I would even go further and say that this has been a problem with Star Wars for the past few years. Actually, since The Force Awakens, this has been a problem. They just don't thoroughly explain things, and I'm kind of tired of it. I'm kind of over.
Also, yes, I'm over it too because another thing, like just in the world of writing, a lot of times all you have to do is have like one line and it'll explain so much.
That's it. That's all you
So
need.
in New Hope, Vader walks into a room full of military commanders. And they say, well, we need to worry about the Imperial Senate if we ever use this, this gas weapon, this planet destroyer. And then as he walks in, he says, you have no reason to fear the Imperial Senate. The Emperor just disbanded.
Right.
And that line alone explains the world that they live in.
Exactly.
That there's some evil emperor, and he's so disgusting that he destroyed the people's democracy. He disbanded their Senate.
Oh, I had something to say there, but I was going to leave it alone.
What were you gonna say?
Oh, I was just gonna say, that sounds a little too real life for me, especially lately. But yeah,
the world nowadays it's hard to get away from politics. Am I
right? Yeah, you're absolutely right, man. And look, actually, one of
That's
my
right, bro.
favorite lines, one of my favorite exchanges in this series, was actually when Obi-Wan and Leia were discussing the Force, and she asked him how it felt. Do you remember this?
I do,
and he was like, "Hey, do you know what it's like to be in the dark?" And she's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Well, imagine turning on the light." And that one line, was enough to bring that immersion in. We just needed more of that because you explained a whole bunch about the Force without really saying a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the series, even though it sounds like I'm so hypercritical of it, it has some amazing moments.
Yeah.
And like,
yes, sir.
And I would actually say some of Ewan McGregor's really good. He's a really good actor. I'm just going to say. And I think some of the best is when they actually give him someone to work with. And one of the people he worked with the best, in my opinion, is little Leia.
Oh my God. I never thought I'd hear you give little Leia any praise. Yet here we are at 8:23 p.m. and you did. Oh my God.
Here it is. You heard it here first, folks. Alert the newspapers. Oh, people don't read newspapers anymore. Alert Twitter. So here's what it is. I'm annoyed with the little kid antics of her.
Sure.
But when there actually has a scene where they can like talk with her, particularly Obi-Wan, it's really good.
Yeah.
And this episode had it. So let's start with Leia.
So are we looking at this specific episode with Leia, or are we just looking in general, just over the course of the series?
Let's do over the course of it. Let's discuss the series in first, and then we'll talk the details of the episode.
So overall, if I'm looking at Leia from beginning when we first saw her to the end, it was almost like she started as just total shite, and then became increasingly more palatable as the show went on. And then by the end of it, I was actually pretty endeared to her, simply because they did tone down all of the Babysitters Club adventures and babysitting type stuff, and they gave the more serious kind of thing.
But they went back to it for a second in episode 5.
Oh, when she climbed up and had to,
where they're like, she's never been to a school of engineering, and there should be no reason she knows how to fix anything. And this happens all the time when there's a little kid in the story. They're like,
sure,
I need to get into this small place, but no one is small enough. And then the little kid's like, I'll volunteer.
It happens. It's overplayed. It's
overplayed. And then she does it. And not only is she fixing things, she has a little fight with her droid. And then she like knows how to remove the thing that reprogrammed it.
Yeah, that was kind of stupid because it just made it like mean, like shouldn't it just follow a protocol and just not act mean? That was just so comical and over the top. I didn't like it.
And Matt, we're about to address your comment real quick, but on that, I will say, here's what I'm saying. There's one thing that they said, they used to describe it as and this is a thing that they don't explain. They described it as a tracking device. However, this tracking device reprogrammed the robot to make it evil. And to know when to screw them over and when to pretend it's good.
Right.
And that's all just one thing you plug right into the robot.
Oh, I can't.
And here's the thing. If Star Wars had that, why haven't the villains been doing this every time they capture the robots?
All right. Mantis, man, I'm sitting here trying to praise it, and you're just ripping that away.
Sorry. Let's go back to that.
You just, I'm trying to find some redeeming qualities of Leia, and you're just shooting that down too. But logically, not to be whatever. Yeah, and it's also a thing. It's Leia. like one of the pillars of Star Wars. So of course they're going to give her extra time to shine and show she's a
Mhm.
hero and a badass, that sort of thing. But at the cost of shoving her down our throats, making her unpalatable, I don't think that balance is good. I don't like that.
You see, my man Matt in the chat says little Leia was terrible. That actress is so bad.
Oh gosh. Okay. All right, Matt.
Okay.
All right, brother. So she was bad, but here's the thing: I only think she was bad because how she was written. I felt like when it was serious, she was not as awful. Just my two
Okay.
cents. Just my 2 cents.
So, we're going to talk about Matt's force comment in just a second. I want to address my parts with Leia.
Sure.
Here's what it is. I do not like the antics, like she outruns mercenaries, adult mercenaries,
Right.
or like little things like that, or like, for instance, she's never scared of the people who are about to torture her. Like
Yeah.
that was not very good. But I'll tell you, things that I thought were good were usually when she's an over one. Like, for instance, when she accuses him of being her father, she's like, "Are you my real father?" It was heartwarming.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. And it kind
And,
of
and
came out of nowhere and it kind of made me feel, oh, this is going to be a little awkward. But I did like that. I did like
and
that.
I'm gonna sound like the original beta right now, just a softie. But when Obi-Wan said, "I wish I was," that's just so sweet to say to her. And
Yes.
and then he starts describing her mother for her. And then he's like, "You remind when I look at you." He's trying to play act, but he's really being serious. And he's like, "When I look at you, I always see your mom."
Wow, man.
Which is another complaint. I'm sorry, I got to say about this show series is it needed. I think every episode should have started with a flashback.
Talk about it. I was going to bring that up with you. It should have been like Arrow. Every
And,
episode should have had something relating to what they were going through.
right, and it should have had it through the course of his life, not just Anakin. And for instance,
Yeah.
that one definitely needed in the beginning a flashback between him and Padme. That would have been perfect if it started with him in a flashback with him, and they just have a cameo from Natalie Portman. Doesn't have to be a long one,
Sure.
but they could have like a touching moment together as friends. We all know they were just friends, but it doesn't have to be romantic if that's what you guys were. I know how the internet thinks. I know all your heads are going to the gutter, but
Of
he had a
course.
deep relationship as a friend with her, right?
Absolutely. It wasn't just Anakin, it was both of them.
So I think that would have been perfect place to put that. I think also
Absolutely.
there should have been a flashback of like when I think there should have been a flashback when he was a little kid with Qui-Gon, and they could cast a
So
young Obi-Wan.
so that actually would have been awesome. And you know where that would have been really good? Oh God, man, we were rewriting the whole thing, but I love it. When
I'm gonna do a video about rewriting this.
so when he had detached himself from the force and he was just a vagabond, dirty, stinky old man just wandering the desert. When he first caught her when she fell off of the building, there should have been a flashback either before or during that sequence show with Qui-Gon showing him some Force 101 lessons and him remembering it and then being able to use that to stop her,
That's
Like,
beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful. And
like, yeah.
and they can just they could youngin Neeson up, youngin him up, and they could cast a little kid of any age, because remember they trained them since they're kids, so that he would have
That's
had that
right.
relationship back then, and that would have been cool to see like him in his young years,
Yeah. Oh
right?
man.
Right? And so there's a bunch of, and what we're asking for. Let me tell you that this show had $25 million budget an episode.
That's a lot of money.
What we're not asking for giant crazy spectacle. We're asking for scenes that are very affordable to film.
Exactly.
You know
I
what I'm
think
saying?
so. Yeah. Uh yo, so the force comment. What was the force comment?
Oh, so Matt originally said back when we were talking about the Force, he says, "You see, I don't think the writers even understood the Force at all."
um do you mean within this show or just in general? Because in general, I would have to agree, especially if we're looking back at the sequel trilogy. Because dear God, they just used the force to do everything. I mean, Leia, or not Leia, Ray was healing people out of nowhere with no training, and people were pulling material out of thin air. That was definitely not understanding the force. There was a little bit of that here, but I think they had a bit more respect for it, where they didn't allow it to just do anything they wanted for the plot.
Yeah, yes, and so I will agree with Matt that I think various force powers they didn't understand.
Right.
And so like one of them is mind probe, like when you put a deep probe into somebody's mind.
Mm-hmm.
So normally like Jedi can like surface read and at least from like novels, RPGs, like video games and stuff. Usually a deep mind probe, you've got to really weaken the person's will, usually through torture or interrogation, to be able to read their minds. And there's a scene where she does that to what's his face, the fake Jedi in an alleyway in a second.
Oh God, I forgot about that.
And I'm like, no one has ever been able to do that. Vader couldn't do that to Leia under interrogation. So you know what I'm saying? So I think they didn't understand the powers exactly.
So here's the thing. I might be jumping the gun here, but I feel like there's a lot they didn't understand. One of my biggest gripes, just in general, with this series, was what happened with Reva. Okay, because the duel with Darth Vader was awesome. Okay, but when he stabbed her, and she just was like, "Ow!" I just got stuck with a needle, and just wrapped some cloth around it, and flew to a desert planet, and was just fine. So what about Qui-Gon? This man just got completely impaled and died within minutes. But you telling me this chick is like, you can get stabbed and be okay?
It's funny that we can't get to the good part. We're like, let's talk about the good parts, and we keep getting criticism. But that enraged me as well, because what it is like, if she is injured and dying, they should have depicted that.
Yes.
Like they could have had her go to Tatooine, and what would have been cool is she could be like sweating and injured. She could check her wound, and you could tell she's dying, but she's going to use like her last breath to get revenge on her boss. That would have been great.
It would have just solved a lot. And before anyone says anything, the Grand Inquisitor did have a throwaway line, like what was it? Nothing like anger,
nothing like revenge
to keep you alive or something. Yeah. But man, nah, forget that. We're not doing that.
Laney says Mantis just needs to go right for Star Wars. That yes, absolutely. I absolutely agree.
Hire this man.
Hire this man. The flashback made me cry in the first episode. Yeah. I actually have I'm going to save it for my video, but I have a really good idea about how they should have started the opening scene. But we'll talk about that another time. Because it's in depth and it takes like a lot of like explaining or whatever. Why it would be perfect. But and here's another thing I gotta say.
Yeah.
If a lot of these Star Wars shills out there, I'm not gonna name the YouTubers that are Star Wars shills, but probably see them around. They defend every little thing about the series and the sequel trilogy. Yep. They kept saying they're like, well, because of that line, that means that Darksiders can use their rage or hatred to stay alive longer. Just kind of that's probably what Maul did. And I'm like, I dig that. That's fine, right? However, Reva, as soon as she let go of her hatred at the end, shouldn't she have dropped dead?
Dropped dead immediately. Thank you.
Yeah.
So look, let me go here with this, okay? So this is some super duper EU stuff, but I have to bring it up. Have you ever heard of Darth Sion? Do you know who this is?
Wait, isn't he from KOTOR 2?
So I do believe so. He's the
gray guy. He's the gray dude who looks like he's made of ash.
So what that is actually is he's supposed to have been dead. His body is literally
just
rotting
keeps regenerating his own corpse.
But he's so angry and so filled with the dark side that he just can't die. So his body decays, but the Force keeps him together. Like if we're gonna go that route, but don't just throw it in there when one of the main characters gets stabbed and dies and she doesn't. It doesn't make sense.
Another thing that they also seem to be thing is there's just a handful of abilities like Force sensitives in the stories can use instinctively, but the rest usually takes training. Even communicating or transforming into a Force ghost, you need to train to do.
Exactly.
So I'm fine with Darksiders doing that, but I don't understand how Reva, who was a light sider at the time, just because she's angry, she survives an attack from Anakin Skywalker. Right? How did he fail to kill a little kid?
Absolutely right. And then he left her too. So let's not even go there.
Well, oh man, the leaving things. He's leaving people alive. He did it twice to Reva, right?
Yep.
He left her when she was a kid. He left her in episode 5. Then in episode 6, and we're gonna get to the lightsaber fight in a minute. But in the middle of the lightsaber fight, he buries Obi-Wan, right? and he turns away and walks away. And I was like,
Walks away.
Vader would not do that.
He
Vader would
never
wait for him to die.
Oh
He
my
would
God.
not assume. He's like, some rocks on him. I'm assuming he's dead.
You know, it's just so funny to me because the Disney Star Wars stuff has done so well behind Vader. I mean, they have just made this man into a monster since we saw him in Rogue One up until now. Never has Vader been so formidable, in my opinion. But then they do like little stuff like that makes him look incompetent, and he is definitely not that. You
Totally
know,
incompetent.
so I guess it's just a kind of a balance thing. You know, make him look like a beast, and then make him have mistakes. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I do
Yeah.
love what they've done with them.
Yeah. So, back to the good for real quick.
Yeah.
I'm really into Ewan McGregor. Still has it. He'll always be the true Obi-Wan. Sorry, Alec Guinness and Alec Guinness fans.
It's true.
And I think he did great in it. I liked Leia when she wasn't being like a Mary Sue, super baby.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
I was fine with that. And then another problem is that the rest of the cast is ultimately just thrown away.
Oh yeah.
They hire well-known actors to do nothing.
O'Shea.
O'Shea could have been anyone. You could have taken a hobo off the street to play that role.
Really, and it would have been just as memorable, which is not really that memorable.
Yeah.
But no, like you said, good things. I will stand by Vader. They made this man look like Vader's a badass. The dude can whoop your ass and scare you at the same time. Vader was just great. I love what happened at the end. I don't like that Obi-Wan won, but I do love the slashed helmet and the humanizing of him. That interaction with Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
I did like that.
And here's the backup. Matt's point. Like, for instance, him winning this last fight. Here's what I'm saying. The only times he's won after, like, obviously he trains Anakin from he's young, so he probably beat him sparring many times.
Sure.
But the point of like Attack of the Clones is he had gotten to a point where he still is not wise but has vast power.
Right.
And it should be the point that like and so at that point you could tell, like in the flashback, which was done very well. I love the one flashback they gave us. You could tell he's at that point. He's cocky. He knows he's going to beat his master, and then he uses it against him. He outsmarts him.
Right.
And then in Revenge of the Sith, he also outsmarts him.
It was the same thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so my whole take on that whole thing.
It was hubris, right?
Yeah, it was all human. The reason why he flips up there, and a lot of people are like, "Why does high ground matter?" The whole point is he told Anakin he couldn't do something. He says, "I have the high ground. You can't do it." And he knowing that Anakin would do opposite of what he said to show off that he can.
Right.
And he fell right into his trap. And so Obi-Wan outsmarted him again. But this time around, he just beats him.
He outbrawned him. I agree. It shouldn't have gone that way.
It should not have gone that way.
Yeah, it should. He definitely should have outsmarted him. He definitely is not going to outduel Darth Vader, the Jedi killing machine. That's just not going to happen. No, okay, Matt. Look, I'm with you, man. I didn't necessarily love it, but I have to give props to where props are due. That's all I'm saying. And when it comes to Vader, again, they did well by him. Aside from those two slip ups, when he pulled the starship out of the sky and ripped that shit open like it was a can of Sprite, that was everything to me. That was amazing. When he took on Reva and he didn't even draw his lightsaber, that shit was awesome. And
that was amazing.
And then he pulled it apart and threw it at her and was like, "Come get this smoke." That was amazing. That was amazing. Look, say what you want about this show, but Darth Vader looked badass except for the last little bit there. He looked awesome.
It was beautiful. That whole thing. Yeah, most of episode 5 was good. Once again, I didn't like there's just a lot of things that don't make any sense. Like, for instance, in episode 4, O'Shea actually says they only have one ship.
Oh God, yeah, man. I know.
He says they only have one ship, and then the next thing, the whole point of fooling Vader was that they had 2 ships.
Oh boy.
Or like little things like they don't explain. Like they don't explain how she found out that he was Anakin Skywalker. Like, how could you put the connection together?
Right.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Or like, don't even get one of the worst tools in writing I've ever seen is so Bail Organa, who's been a spy and leading a rebel organization for a decade. calls Obi-Wan and leaves a voicemail about the most important information they could possibly have. Saying, he's like, we must protect the child on Tatooine. And I'm like,
Oh,
why would you leave that in a message? Are you insane? And Reva, who should be dying, instead goes and checks Obi-Wan's voice messages for no reason.
so let me ask you this, because this slipped by me and it still doesn't make sense to me. Why did she go to Tatooine in order to kill him? What was the
Okay,
point of that?
so I believe she was trying to get blatant revenge. It was the last way she could hurt Vader.
Okay, I got you.
You know what? And when she was attacking them, the Lars family, she should have said a line like that. She should say, "My last revenge against Vader before I die."
That would have helped me. See, that would have been great for someone like me who didn't understand why she would go there in the first place. That would have been great.
And the villains, especially in Star Wars, monologue all the time. They say things like that. You know, like they say, "Today is a day that will go down in infamy. It has seen the end of Obi-Wan Kenobi. It shall soon see the end of the rebellion."
Yeah.
You know, they state their intentions like psychopaths all the time. So I don't see why that's not that's a no-brainer that she should have stated her intentions.
100%. And actually about that scene. So about when she goes to Tatooine and she breaks into the Owens' house or whatever. Look, I love the uncle. I thought he did a great job. I liked him. He didn't get much, but I like his codgerly ways. Being a father to protect Luke, and I also like that he wasn't scared of her at all. Like he was ready to dole out damage. And look, what they did with Luke, they should have done with Leia, because Luke to me actually felt like a child. You know what I mean? He was helpless. He had to run. He had to hide. And he still would have died if she had not, seen the error of her ways.
Did Leia inherit all the brains or something?
I know.
She got all the brains, and he's the Mimbo.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, I swing sword, I'm good.
Sand and power converters, like that's what it's all about with him.
Matt says the subtitle of the series should have been copy and paste. Carmen Sita says, I need more details. Yeah, more details and all these things, and they could have just been thrown away lines if the writers were really careful. It really felt like a second draft rather than a third draft of a movie script.
So I would just love to be just a fly on the wall in the writer's room to just understand why they went the way that they did. Because with a character who's so beloved, with so many decades of just lore and backstory and just things you can do with them, why was this just so mid? It was just so mid-tier.
Yeah, everything was mid. Everything was mid. The only episodes I liked was when there was like flagrant, over-the-top crazy stuff happening.
Yeah, like really 5 and what we just got today. What's up, Pubs? These two were the best ones, and it was really only because of the action. And while I'm at it, can we just touch on that lightsaber duel real quick?
The
lightsaber duel.
Yo, go for it, brother.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little worried about how it would come together, because while the flashback with Anakin was okay, the fighting actually didn't really impress me that much. What we got today, that's what I'm talking about. Like, that lightsaber duel actually stands up to movies. It's way better than anything we got in the sequel trilogy.
Oh yeah, of course. Both of the directors, and I would actually say that the stuff going on in Last Jedi was better than the other two. But with the Royal Guard, that was Last Jedi, that was
really good.
But I'll say, and here's what I was like, there's no way they're gonna do as good a lightsaber duel. And so here's what it is. Here's what's great about this lightsaber duel, right? So when they were young men, they tried to, they had a big D swinging party, right?
Yeah.
A pissing competition is what that. If anyone's wondering why the Revenge of the Sith duel was so over the top, it's because they were trying to outshow each other.
Yeah.
Right. However, they're older. They've both been through stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They both have body trauma and all sorts of things on this. So now, instead of being able to do those fancy lightsaber things, they're trying to outdo themselves with force powers.
Oh. Yeah,
and I loved it. It made sense that they're aging, so they're like, I'm going to rely on the Force more than my blade. And I gotta say, it was crazy stuff. Like Vader tripping him, like taking his legs out with a boulder.
I know, man.
That was great, man.
Man. That was, I loved it, man. I loved how didn't Vader try to choke him out at one point? Did I see that? Like
Yes.
barehanded.
Yeah.
Like I love when the fisticuffs come into it. You know, like
Oh yeah.
that just gives it a level of, realism, because when you get in close quarters combat and you have a long weapon, that's not going to be a lot of use. So you're going to have to like get in there with, hands and knees and feet. So it's like attention to detail with that kind of stuff that I really liked.
Yeah.
The choreography was amazing, man. And then the Force, man. I would actually say that maybe they went a little bit over the top with Obi-Wan at the end when he was pelting him with the boulders.
Yeah, because he's never displayed even a fraction of that power.
He's not that powerful, man.
He's not, yeah.
He's
and that was
wise.
the whole point. That's the whole point. He's wise where he lacks up in natural ability, and Anakin is all natural ability and is dumb as shit.
Yeah.
My friend.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I mean, you're right. But I mean, look, that aside, I can't deny it. I also love how the episode just got straight to it. We got like 5 to 10 minutes of exposition, and then they landed on the planet, and then it was let's go, and then it was straight to it. So I did appreciate that. Very much. That was great.
Yeah.
Is Matt in here causing chaos with
Oh well, you saw what he said. He said the rematch of the century was garbage. The choreography was terrible.
Oh my god!
That person is in YouTube. Can you give me just a minute? I got to throw this person out of my.
Man,
you got to love that.
Yeah. Hey, look, it's streaming, baby.
It's
live
streaming, baby.
This is great. But look, hey Matt. So I could get where you're coming from, man. But I genuinely think that this lightsaber duel, I can't really think of anything beyond the prequel trilogy that was this good as far as lightsabers go. But again, that's just Old Chocolate's opinion. That's just what I got.
Right. He asked, "Am I the villain of this chat?"
Oh no, you're not a villain for having an opinion, man. That's perfectly fine. This is no big deal.
Right.
No problem.
Yo, I thought I booted this person. What is happening?
Oh,
I'm sorry. This is apology to all my fans, people out there. I'm sorry. I'm super ignorant to the ways.
Yo, delete Tinder.
You should delete Tinder. Here we go. Hopefully, I got to learn how to get rid of these people, but I think I got that right.
Pubs, you're an agent of chaos. Let them hang. You're crazy. Yeah, and look, Matt. See, yeah, that's exactly what it should be. We don't all have to like it, but
that's comment yet so far. Matt says, "Time for my redemption
arc."
Thank you, Reva.
This as long as you don't flip opinions, and you can have your redemption arc. That's cool.
Right. So I loved it. I loved most of the lightsaber stuff. Here's what I'm saying. This series was incredibly back heavy. And other than my complaints of like the illogical scripting, I don't know, they got like a junior high school kid to write it. But they should have put some of these moments at the end, spread them out.
Yeah, I would agree, man.
A good action movie has action sprinkled across it. Not all the last 10. I mean, some have it in the last like 15 minutes, 20 minutes, but that usually is not a movie you love, right?
And I mean, why would you do it that way? Because you're keeping people on the edge of their seats waiting for something to happen. And I feel like that's what we did this entire time. We just
like
waited
4
for
hours
something
away
to happen.
Yeah.
I will admit, I feel like the show started off great. I love the first episode. I love seeing what Obi-Wan was up to. I love the Grand Inquisitor. I thought he was a hammy Shakespearean.
Yes, very Star Wars villain.
Do you know about Jedi, my friend? Like it was just very.
That is great. Did you see my commentary in my other video the other day when I
I sure did. Yep.
And so that was clever too. And I don't know if they did that on purpose, but yes, the Jedi hunt themselves, but so do Darksiders. because you give them a mischievous goal and they'll have to take that bait.
That's what it's all about.
And he hunted her good because she was a scrub.
He did. And then
Carmencita completely agrees.
Oh, thank you, Carmen. And then after episode 1, it just either dropped or it went. It was just one of those it was up or down. It's like I'm looking at a sound wave, just down and then up and down and up.
Ultimately, I really think I could have edited episodes 1 and 2 into one pure hour, like 60 minutes, and then episodes 3 and 4 into a 60-minute episode.
There you go.
And then the good stuff will happen in episode 3. Boom. There you go.
Look at
save people a lot of time.
Dude, it's just second nature for you. It's just crazy how quick it just comes to you like that.
Thank you. So Lainey over here is under the impression that he shouldn't have met Luke. It makes no sense. So I would actually argue that Luke had met Obi-Wan before.
He knew him, right?
Yes, he did, because he says Obi-Wan Kenobi. I wonder if he means old Ben Kenobi, who lives over the Dune Sea.
Yeah, right.
So, and it makes sense that he only met him like when he was a little kid. It's like that crazy uncle you meet when you're like 9 and then you forgot about. And they're like, Uncle Ben? Uncle Ben? And like, you met him at Christmas that one year. And you're like, oh, right.
Oh, yeah, I remember him. He drinks a lot, right? He's a drunk dude. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, well, he's dead.
Qui-Gon.
Public watched the first 2 episodes and decided the series was not for them.
I get it, Pubs. If I wasn't a diehard, I'd be right there with you. But Qui-Gon, man. What'd you think of that?
So, personally, I actually think he should have been able to summon Qui-Gon before the final battle. But
I thought he was going to show up in the rubble. That's where I thought he was going to show up.
Oh, that would have been a perfect time for him to show up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He could call out or whatever, meditating on how to get out of there, and then he sees him. Yep. That would be amazing. But I did like his appearance though.
Oh, that was fun. You did. Okay. I was worried you would think it wasn't enough, or you would.
Here's what I'm saying for the Force Ghost thing. I mean, I don't know how long we want the scene to be. It was super short. That was super, super short. I would have rather seen Qui-Gon. I wanted to have to see his Qui-Gon ghost, but I also think there should have been a flashback to him.
100%.
It makes no sense that the series that's supposed to be going over Obi-Wan, they don't show him as such an important character as Qui-Gon.
And important for multiple reasons. I mean, of course, because he was Obi-Wan's master and his teacher and his, father figure. But another one that a lot of people don't know is that Qui-Gon Jinn was actually the person who figured out how to become a Force ghost.
Right. He's technically the original Force ghost.
Right. Like before that, when you died, that was it. But he learned how to keep himself together after death and appear to talk to people. And he taught Yoda and Obi-Wan and all these other people how to do it.
And honestly, if they gave like a 3-minute scene, a flashback, we could literally write a scene if we put our heads together, like 3 minutes, 4 minutes at most, where he's not only teaching him the telekinesis, but he explains some of his weird philosophies about the Force that would later on be the thing that would allow him to become a ghost.
Yeah,
because I know he had radical beliefs about the religion of the Force.
Yeah, which I do love about that character, by the way. I love how he was such a rebellious punk, and he just didn't listen to the Jedi Council, which probably wasn't a bad idea because we know what happened with them.
Matt says, I feel like this show should have been like 2 or 4 more episodes. And they had a solid idea with Reva with the whole Order 66 survivor, but didn't do enough to execute it. I agree. Here's what it is. I agree as long as they use their time correctly. Yeah. And so you watch the boys, Courtney?
So I do, but I haven't seen any from this current season.
It's all right. So I would say The Boys should be studied, particularly in Lucasfilm, because they need a writing teacher. Yeah. But the Boys should be studied that within 45 minutes to 55-minute period, they get so much accomplished per episode.
Yeah, they do.
But you're not lost.
Yeah.
And they'll have like a scene. Like, for instance, I remember one episode, the way that we learn that Homelander is obsessed with Madeline Stillwell is he stares at the wall all episode long. Do you remember this?
I do. I do
And
remember.
finally, there's a scene where she just goes, "I know you're watching me," and you realize he's using his X-ray vision to watch her while she
Oh, I
works.
loved it, man.
And that uses such little time throughout the episode, but it tells it tells a boatload about Madeline Stillwell. It tells a boatload about Homelander.
So clever, man. So
And,
clever.
and they really didn't use their time correctly in this.
I would agree. And it actually, I really don't want the Order 66 thing Survivor to become a trope, because we are quickly headed that way. It's starting to become overused. And look, I don't know if I know you watch the news more than I do, but today I saw all of these different news outlets talking about rumors for Cal Kestis Disney Plus show. And apparently,
here's what I'm saying. How could they even have Cal Kestis? Because they had this series plagiarized every of his great moments.
Exactly what I'm saying. It's becoming tropey. Like there is. I don't want it to become redundant and tired. Okay, because if we were going to do an Obi-Wan show, maybe it shouldn't have been about the Inquisitors hunting him. Maybe it should have been something else, because that is literally Cal Kestis' story. And from what I was reading, the kid Cameron Monaghan that plays him has put ink to paper, and this thing is happening.
That's what I've heard. I'm waiting for some announcements. I think they're going to announce them all together. Like, when they fully decide if they're going to have a season 2, if Rev is getting a series, I think all those will be probably, and Cal Kestis or what else they have in the chamber. I think they'll announce them all together. I think they want like a big announcement.
Sure.
And that's probably, if it did happen, that's why they haven't said anything officially.
Oh boy, man.
Yeah, you see Matt's comment. The Qui-Gon cameo should have been like, "How come everyone survives a lightsaber to the gut but me?"
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. When she lived through that took me out of it. I did not like that. Yeah.
And so obviously, also there's rumors, and I wouldn't mind it if they use the actress I want. You know who I want to play young Leia?
Millie Bobby Brown.
Millie Bobby Brown, number 11.
She would be perfect.
Yes,
as Leia.
And that's the Leia I want to see. I want her to be a teenager, so she's old enough to actually rebel. And like the series showed, he's like, "I'm not going to give you a blaster. You're a child for now." Yeah. Meaning one day he wants her to pick up a blaster.
Yeah.
Right. And so I want to see her old enough, like a 15-year-old her, getting a blaster and helping the rebellion and being an upstart. That's a show I want to see.
Millie Bobby Brown. That is perfect casting. Damn, man. That is just good job, man. Good job.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, look, if we get an Obi-Wan season 2, maybe there'll be a time skip, and maybe we'll get something like that. I don't know. I personally don't want a second season, but what do I know?
Well, here's the problem with the second season. Well, let's talk about the good and the bad of that idea, right?
Yeah.
The bad that totally hits me. If this same creative team is online, they're going to keep violating canon until it's all messed up. The longer they go, they're just going to keep messing stuff up.
Yeah.
But another thing is, how many duels with Vader is he going to have?
So that was my thing. If there is another Obi-Wan show, Vader and him cannot meet again. That has to be it. No more of them fighting, talking, none of that.
The good news is, and I was gonna put this in my video as well about a rewrite. There were so many other storylines for Obi-Wan they could have done, but it turns out after episode 2, I think the guy revealed, the head writer revealed that he didn't watch Clone Wars and he didn't watch Revenge of the Sith.
Oh my God, what are we doing right now?
And so, but the
How
thing
do
is,
people get jobs? I don't understand.
Because you know what my first prediction for Reva was, right? Which I still think it would have been a better story.
What was it?
That she's the secret apprentice of Darth Maul, infiltrating the Inquisitors.
Double agent. Okay.
And that she wants to the reason why she wants to overthrow Vader is so that Maul can come take his place.
Oh.
And so that, but even if they didn't do that, that ship has sailed. There's still storylines they can do with Darth Maul. There's still storylines about Duchess Satine. They could have a totally new story about something that him and Qui-Gon did before he even met Anakin.
He could go on some kind of journey with Qui-Gon guiding him. Yeah, I mean, I guess there is stuff. I guess there's stuff you can do.
I feel like the end when he put on the light robes and headed out. I think they're implying that he's going to go adventuring. He's going to leave Planet More and do adventures. That's what I.
So I actually took that as well. Here's the thing, though. Another thing that was kind of weird
Mhm.
was when he was saying, like, I'll back off. I won't, be watching you through my binoculars anymore. Luke is safe, that sort of thing. Um, yeah, I don't know about that, bro.
Yeah, you're right. The lesson they should have learned right there is that he's absolutely not
He's,
safe.
yeah.
You two are incompetent and can't fight a wounded, freaking pathetic, the most pathetic Sith that ever lived. Like, Baru, and here's what I'm saying. She's a housewife, and I'm glad she got some lines finally, because normally she doesn't have lines in movies
Yeah.
when she's in there. But Aunt Baru, she had her dead to rights and
She did.
misses.
Yep. Missed like twice, 2 or 3 times.
It's like, come on,
Yeah.
yo.
Yeah. Look, man, I'm just looking at that and I'm like, well, when I watched Star Wars Rebels, I remember an old Obi-Wan Kenobi getting confronted with Darth Maul. Did you see this episode? Do you remember this? So it's the one when Maul is on his quest to get revenge on Kenobi finally. He
Mhm.
makes his way to Tatooine. He's going through the desert finding him. Then, like, at the very last, like, few minutes of the
Oh, this is
episode,
Rebels.
yeah, he tracks him down finally.
Yes.
And he's talking to him and he's like, why are you, like, on this planet? Like, you're here, you could be
Right.
anywhere. And he's like, are you protecting something? He's like, no, you're protecting someone. And then you see Obi-Wan get a scowl on his face. He ignites his lightsaber. Like, when he threatened Luke, he jumped right into action. So why is he just riding off now? Like, oh,
Yeah,
he's gonna be okay.
this adventure should prove that he's like, I should never leave the planet ever again. I
That's all
should
I'm
move
saying.
in with you guys.
That's all I'm saying. Yeah. Yeah, give me a room.
You are. Yes. He's like, that's how he knows him. He's as a crazy old man, because he rents out their attic or something. He's a weird boarder who keeps to himself and like lives in the attic.
His door's always shut, and
Yes,
it's
exactly. Everyone feels uncomfortable when he comes around. Like, no, that's crazy. But you know what's actually funny about that scene you're talking about?
yeah.
Well, one, in my original like rewrite idea with him in it, with a Maul being in the series,
Yeah.
I would have had the series end, and then the credits fall, and I would have had an end credit scene where I would frame by frame do that scene from Rebels,
Oh, but live action.
and I would actually gray up all of Obi-Wan's hair
Okay.
to suggest that it's been years. It's years after that, because we know it does. So that's
Like
the audience would immediately know. They're like, oh, this is like 5 or 6 years later. He's even older, and he's camping out, and Maul comes to him. But another form of touching, like something touching that I don't think the writers can do, but Rebels did very well, is when Obi-Wan kills him. He falls. He starts to fall, and Obi-Wan catches him and cradles him. And Darth Maul goes, "Is it the chosen one?" And he says, "It is." And he goes, "He will redeem us both." And then he dies.
And then he dies, and then he just takes his fingers and closes his eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's showing mercy and compassion to his worst enemy.
Dude, oh my God. First of all, I never thought I'd hear you give props to Rebels.
Rebels has a lot of genius stuff. And
okay. All right, Mantis. All right, man. Look, don't let anyone ever tell you you're a grumpy or a curmudgeon or anything like that. Because you hear that, Steve? This man has positivity in him, okay? You're going to stop getting on my boy, all right? This man knows quality when he sees it.
I don't even think Steve showed up to this, so it is what it is. The thing is Rebels, I'll just say it real quick, because I don't want to focus on it. There's a lot of kiddie stuff going on in that, and that just like turned me off to it in general.
I agree. Yeah.
Like, for instance, what's this Ezra Bridgers, which I hope he doesn't have later on. He has a lightsaber gun.
I know. Yeah.
Like, it's just so stupid. It's something a little kid would think.
Yeah.
I want to build a lightsaber out of a blaster so I can shoot and attack. And I'm like, this is
so for me, honestly, the first 2 seasons of Rebels is unbearable. It's unbearable. But when you get to the point when Ezra gets aged up a few years and then Kanan goes blind, that's when it like levels up. And then it really becomes palatable.
And then actually the very end, that whole with the time travel stuff, I like really didn't want in Star Wars. AJ says, if a show like that is made, it can also bring in some more lore from the time frame. And that's another thing. Obi-Wan could have been a series about something we've never even encountered before.
Yeah, that would have been.
It doesn't have to always be a fight with Vader.
Hold on, Matt. Are you trolling? Are you being sarcastic? Do you really think Rebels is awesome? That's hilarious. I just feel like he's like the reverse. Yeah, I
Yeah,
feel like
no,
we
no,
always hate on
he
Rebels.
is. I've been on his channel. He does make those.
Okay, all right, man. All right, man. I do too. I'm just saying I don't hear that often. So
Yeah, but in classic Star Wars, no one can ever actually shoot a blaster. I feel that. Although I'm a defender of the stormtroopers, though. You've
why?
heard this one before, right?
Maybe. What are you thinking?
So it is a incredible misconception that they're ineffective soldiers, and I'll tell you why.
Uh-oh.
So in the beginning of A New Hope, Obi-Wan, when he talks about them, he talks about them fearfully. When he shows the destroyed Jawa sandcrawler, he says these were not made by sand people. Look at the blast grouping. Only Imperial stormtroopers are so precise. And he says all
Oh
that
yes.
stuff. And,
Yeah.
and he even has to use like a mind trick rather than fight them when they're at the thing. So he's avoiding them, right?
Right.
Then they get on the Death Star, and suddenly they are incompetent. We're not sure how they fight, but they fight bad. They're aim wrong, whatever. They get away. But later on, it's revealed that Vader let them go because he put a tracking device on them.
On them, yeah.
Then, although they don't attack, we don't. After that, it's only aerial battles that we see. But then in the next Star Wars, Echo Base is totally, utterly annihilated by stormtroopers.
Stormtroopers, this is true.
Stormtroopers are able to take Bespin in that same movie.
Yeah.
And then later on, they're actually, well, I will admit, they didn't do good against the Ewoks.
They got sunned up by teddy bears, man.
Okay, I won't defend them on that. But I'm saying there are, I think normally stormtroopers are actually good warriors.
So I would agree, man. But the funny part that I love this, but I also hate it, is that the people who are in charge of Star Wars got hip to all the jokes and the memes and shit. And then in The Mandalorian, we got that amazing scene of them with Grogu.
And you know what's crazy?
They're trying to shoot the can or whatever it is, and they can't hit it.
My favorite is he runs out of ammo and he's like shaking it, like it's the gun's fault that he's missing.
Yeah,
like he's listening, like what's wrong with my gun, like because he keeps missing again. But it's funny. I love that scene. I think it's brilliant. There are people who take Star Wars so seriously. They that's divisive. Like some people are like, that's too much jokes for me.
Oh God, have fun, people.
I think that was fun. That was super fun. That was really fun.
Yeah. But I mean, if we were saying clone troopers, I mean, it ain't no contest. They got it done. Clone troopers didn't play around. They definitely should have kept those and not went to stormtroopers. I'm just saying.
Right. No, I feel you.
Yeah.
This series has been kind of crazy. I think they could have done a lot of different things.
They could have. They could have. They should have.
And you know what it is? Here's my wish because we can't undo this series. This series is already done. Mm-hmm. It's in the can. I'm hoping that they not fire, but they don't invite back Deborah Chow or any of those writers, and they give it to someone else, and they give it to another's writers' room. Hopefully, writers who watch and know about Star Wars. Yeah, and maybe we could get a second season of something else going on with Obi-Wan.
Look, I didn't really know until maybe halfway through the series that Johnny Favs and Filoni were not at all a part of it, and you can sense it, you can feel it.
Yes,
and to me, we just cannot not have them. We need them. So if we're gonna do Star Wars, we need those guys. Don't have them. We need them.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah.
So let me ask you about this. For starters, Matt says it's the helmet; it impairs the vision.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
That is very possible.
Yeah.
So let me ask you: there's a lot of complaints going around, and it has been throughout the entire series, that it doesn't feel like Star Wars. The lightsabers don't look like lightsabers. The the way the ships move, there's something off by them. Even the sets seem weird. Do you agree with this?
So in some regard, I do actually agree. The sets do feel kind of basic and bare. The lightsabers specifically, they felt very stiff. It felt like I was looking at sticks.
Glowing sticks rather than energy.
Yeah, like I will admit that did feel weird up until what we just got today. Today was the first time it actually felt like I was watching lightsabers.
Rebuke TV, welcome to the stream. And I'll point out that people will not notice it unless you slow it down. But you know the scene where he goes all Star Killer, and it's in episode 4 where the lights go out and there's only like a red hum, and he would turn on his lightsaber when he'd kill somebody.
Yep.
There's a part, and you got to slow it down to actually notice it. And if they didn't point this out to me, I would have not known. Where he slams it against the guy's chest, and it bounces off his chest.
Oh my god! Come on, guys!
The lightsaber, and I don't know if that's Disney being like, well, we don't want to show kids it cutting through them, but
dude,
just be, yeah,
it's $1 million production, and you miss stuff like that.
Yeah,
come on,
it's equivalent to like, you know how you have to slow down or pause it to see the stormtrooper bump his head in New Hope.
Oh,
you know that one?
Yeah,
there's a bunch of stormtroopers coming in, and one in the back like hits his head on the doorway.
Yep.
But if you're watching it casually, you'll never pick up on that.
Hey, look, in my case, if we hit each other with lightsabers, of course it's supposed to bounce off. If I'm watching actual lightsabers, that shit better go through. I'm just saying.
Yeah. For sure. And I think at one point people were championing Deborah Chow to direct a Star Wars movie. I know that. That's crazy. It's the same thing with Rian Johnson. Remember before Last Jedi came out, everyone was like, keep him on to do the next one. And people were chanting this before Last Jedi was even released.
Oh, God. I'm glad I don't remember that.
And so what it is people often, before they actually see what kind of Star Wars people make, they're all champion for them. Right?
You know, they haven't been giving us a lot to be happy about, but fans are also fickle at the same time. You know, I get we're not supposed to just take whatever we're force fed, but, you know, I guess at the same time, look at the good and not always just the bad. Be balanced about it. That's all I'm saying. There's always something positive somewhere.
Right. No, there's a lot of good in this series. I'm not going to give my score yet till the very end, but Matt says, I don't know if you're going to talk about this, but why didn't the Star Destroyer use a tractor beam? So there oftentimes Star Wars is not even on how they use naval tactics. Like actually, Matt said it. Matt right there in his review on YouTube. Everyone go check it out. Everyone follow Matt and subscribe to him. He does great reviews. But he pointed out, why didn't they dispatch TIE fighters to go get the scrubs?
Same thing. Yeah.
And then Vader could get, and I didn't even think about that, but I was like,
yeah.
Oh yeah, I would have been force choked by Vader by not dispatching the TIE fighters.
It's just
I'd be the naval commander, be like, go after Obi-Wan.
They probably didn't even remember that there were TIE fighters. These are the kind of people, yeah.
But also it goes even further that Obi-Wan ends up leaving the planets and going to Tatooine. And so he defeated Vader, but why didn't the Star Destroyer in orbit stop him?
Oh boy. I know. The more we discuss it, I fear the more we're gonna uncover that is gonna like drag the score down.
I've seen so many like plot holes in it. I'm like, wait,
yeah,
what are you talking about?
Yeah.
That like and like to be honest, in the very beginning, relatively beginning, after he gets Leia right back, right?
Yeah.
I was confused why I didn't go straight to Alderaan.
Yeah, that didn't. I don't know.
Like, you know how he's like, I'm trying to meet up with other rebels and blah 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 blah. I'm like, just get on another ship, bro.
It really was that easy. Yeah.
And not only that, I'm sure if we look through Clone Wars, he's probably stolen mad ships to get out of situations, right?
Oh hell yeah! No.
So
man.
when he landed on the cow planet or whatever, you know, that's just fields, endless fields. He could have commandeered a ship and been out, right?
And you know, to add to that, another thing that kind of drove me a little bonkers is like, yeah, you know, Obi-Wan is a Jedi master, right? But people forget he was a general in the Clone Wars, okay? This man knows war. He knows war tactics. One thing that they should have really touched on was when they were trapped in that base and Reva and stormtroopers were there like trying to smoke them out. Obi-Wan should have been barking out orders. Okay, you do this, you do that, you do it. Like showing his general chops. You know, like he's not just a Jedi. He's got military experience.
So, yeah, no, I thought that was so lazy, too, because, like, in general, I didn't like the plot with, like, him having to save the runaway Force users.
Yeah.
Because there's just, like, a lot of that. Like, for instance, when the door opens up and all the stormtroopers are coming, none of them are taking cover. And I was like, you've been in here probably for hours. Why didn't you set up things
Yep.
to take cover on and set up an ambush? It should be harder for an army to enter your facility if you have another army with weapons on the other
My
side.
God, yo, who wrote this? Like, the
And
more we talk about it, the worse it gets.
well, that's I'm looking at that and like, okay, I'm gonna say something that's gonna get me in trouble right now. I was like, either someone who knows nothing, who's never seen a war film before,
Yeah.
or a woman directed this. Because there's no way that Obi-Wan would let all those people just stand in front of the doorway.
Exactly. Yep.
And I was like, why are you just having them stand? You know what I'm saying? They're just like standing there waiting for the soldiers to hit them. And I'm like, this is illogical.
Oh my God.
You know,
No.
just like hiding a child in a and the woman thing was a joke, guys. I love y'all.
It was, yeah. They know you by now. It was a joke.
Yeah,
although I do not, concur with that. So don't cancel me. Cancel him. I love women. I love you all.
Or what about I don't know. Yeah, there was a lot of that kind of stuff going on, and that's what I'm saying. It was very cheap. The production was very cheap. Here's what the production isn't, because they have $25 million an episode, which is a ton of money in today money.
Yeah.
Because apparently the Mandalorian, I looked it up, is $12.5 million per episode.
Really?
So why is that? Yeah, and they wanted to spend more on Obi-Wan because it's a big name and a big deal. And I'm
But
like,
it doesn't show. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well,
yeah.
Bryce Dallas Howard, we're not out. Oh yes. Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
I wish she directed all these episodes.
I know, man. I love her dearly. She is fine, and she does her job well. So you can't cancel the Mantis. Amen.
Yeah. Thank you, Matt. AJ says it was allegedly. So allegedly. So I want to see, like, if we can get our hands on these numbers, real numbers, man. Because if I was counting Kennedy, I'd sit Deborah Chow down and be like, yo, where'd the money go? Are you embezzling?
Honestly. Because I mean, for Mandalorian to spend that amount of money compared to what we got, that looks far higher quality than anything we saw in these 6 episodes.
And also more stuff happens. Like he has like space battles and stuff, and he has like war scenes. And
you want to know something else that just hearing you say that brought this to mind. We need to get out of prequels and in between times. And, The Mandalorian was free to do what they wanted because they were less constricted by having to follow canon, because it was an entirely new character, entirely new story. So they could just do stuff like that. Obi-Wan, they have to adhere to a specific set of events in order to not screw up what happened before and after. And
so what I would argue is they can have tons of series in that in between time. But what I'm saying is like, for instance, don't make Leia the thing that's at stake.
Sure.
Because then we know she's going to survive. There's no danger for her.
Mm-hmm.
Have Obi-Wan save another person or thing. Like maybe he's trying to stop a holocron from falling into their hands. Maybe he's trying to stop them from finding an ancient weapon from the Ratakan Empire or something. But make his battle be like, if he loses, it's not that we know he won't die, but we don't want the villain to get this or to kill somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Have him defend a princess we've never heard of. Maybe he needs to protect some other Force-using girl.
Bring his boo in. You know what I mean? Or
what plot I want. You know what plot I want that they'll never do.
Oh, I know. I think we all want that. Or I mean, Tala, what a waste of a character.
What a waste of a character. And if there's a second season and she's not in it, but these other losers are.
I know, man. I know. They could have really built her up and made us sad that she died.
They put on sad music, and I was like, I'm not feeling.
I was like, okay, she died. Like, good. Like,
Matt says, how do you feel about Hayden Christensen's appearances? I personally got more than I thought they were going to give. I thought he was there for the vision and the series promotion. Here's what it is. They gave me, I think, the correct amount. But I feel like I wanted more, and I think they should have finagled more.
I would agree with that.
They have taken a dump on this poor man. He played Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker, one of the greatest heroes and villains in modern film history, right?
Yep.
And they don't call him back. Like how? Like I'm really pissed about the sequels that they never had a Force ghost of him.
I know.
But the actor's relatively young. They could bring him back for so many things. I think
that was one of the things that plucked my nerves about the sequel trilogy. Why did Anakin not show up and tell Kylo Ren to knock it off? Why? He just watched his kid just, go off the deep end and go on his emo, murder spree. And he didn't show up at all to be like, bro, that's not me no more. You need to cut this shit out. Like that was
Right.
just a complete, and utter waste. I do like what we got with them. The flashback I liked. The de-aging thing, that didn't really bother me that much.
I wanted 1 or 2 more flashbacks with him present.
Sure.
And they don't have to be fights. They don't have to be any. They don't, like I said, they don't have to be expensive. Just it could have been a time when they're in the trenches in the Clone Wars, or there could have been a time when he was like younger. You know what I mean? There could have been a lot of stuff. It could have been a scene with them talking at dinner, hanging out, or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, the scene that I was saying there was like a flashback. It should be a flashback with Padme. Maybe the 3 of them are all having dinner one night, and he just remembers joking around with her and talking with her.
See, look at that.
And Hayden Christensen could have been right there. You know what I'm saying? Like, people would love it. People eat it up. And another thing I think they really failed at, that the Mandalorian's really good at, is here's what it's so weird. This feels like it's fan fiction, right?
It really does.
But the Mandalorian brings in more lore, so much to the point that you think it's fan fiction.
I know.
The Mandalorian feels like real Star Wars.
You
feel me, right?
Oh, I 100% feel you, man. And the best part, my favorite episode of The Mandalorian happened in the Book of Boba Fett. It was when he first showed up, and he was, and he's in the butcher shop.
The butcher shop, man. That's...
and he takes the Darksaber back to the armorer, and the Vizsla guy, and then we get all that exposition about the Darksaber, and then that was amazing.
So much is done in that episode. Think about it compared to any single Obi-Wan episode.
Yep.
And and they even make the little things cool. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I'm such a Mandalorian fanboy. I even like the scene, and I know it's such a throwaway scene, where he tries to get on the weapon onto the ship. He books passage for a ship, and they're like, "Oh, you have to store your weapons." And he's like, "I'm a Mandalorian. I have to have weapons on me all the time. It's my religion." And then they go, "No, sorry." And then he's like, rolls his eyes or whatever, and he puts all his weapons away, and you're like, "Is something gonna happen?" And he locks it up, and then later on he gets off the ship, and all his weapons are there, and nothing weird happens.
I know, dude. You know what though? I would have played that for a gag. That whole scene of him taking his weapons off, I would have extended it. I would have just had him just pull this out, sit it there,
take it out,
click
he
this
takes
out
a Death Star.
Yeah, pulls out like just weapons upon weapons upon weapons, and just have it played as a gag.
But you know what I like about that kind of thing? It's showing it's lore building, because it's just showing you how the universe works. You book passage on the world, but it's a world where everyone's armed, and so they at least regulate that. And like it's you know what I'm saying? It's almost like in a Western when you go to a bar and they want your gun.
Yep. In that same episode, we understood how space travel traffic works. The man got pulled over.
Yes.
And they wanted to see his license and stuff.
So you can't just fly in willy nilly,
right?
Whatever.
Right.
They're looking. Yeah. No. Absolutely. That was cool.
And again, that was Bay. That was Bryce Dallas Howard. So, yes, please come back. We love you.
Yes, that's my boo right there. She could play Mara Jade if you ask me.
That's what I'm talking about.
Don't you think they just copy and pasted a lot of previous Star Wars? For instance, Vader grabbed the ship from the sky, Rey did it in Rise of the Skywalker, or Vader slashed helmet. Yes, I absolutely agree. I really don't like that they plagiarized a lot of other stuff, particularly video games and cartoons, right?
Yeah, they definitely took a lot from Fallen Order. They did. So here's the thing. The Rise of Skywalker thing, screw that. They did it better here. And it was, Vader was way more badass. The slashed helmet thing, that was directly pulled from Rebels, I will admit.
They basically plagiarized Filoni.
They did. And he wasn't even in the show. He wasn't even a part of the show.
Did he give his permission for them to take that moment? He should say something.
But that being said, I did like the moment when it happened, because it gave Obi-Wan probably one of his best acted scenes in the show. And then it also gave us kind of a humanization of Vader at the same time.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
No,
cut you off.
oh no, you're good, man. Do your thing.
I 1,000% agree. I loved. I was pissed. I was like, why are you taking Ahsoka's moment? However, it was great to see in live action, and that scene is great.
Yeah,
And I love that line that Anakin says.
yeah,
Remember that? He
yeah.
says, "I'm not your failure. You didn't kill Anakin Skywalker. I did."
Oh my gosh,
That
man.
and a chill went down my
That
spine.
was amazing. And then that was when Obi-Wan realized, he's like, yeah, you're and Anakin's gone. He's done.
And
You
that
know?
actually reinforces that whole thing where that he tells him he's like he killed your father.
Yeah. And he called him Darth. You remember when you walked
Yes,
away?
Darth.
He called him
Yes.
Darth, so yeah.
Yeah.
There were some things they did okay. They did some things all right.
There's a
It
bunch
wasn't
of
all
stuff in it that's really good.
yeah.
I just really wish that somebody who knew about Star Wars, the universe, the continuity, could have given the scripts a once over and been like, "Well, this doesn't make sense," or like, "Didn't O.J. Jackson say there was only one ship?"
Oh God, yeah.
You know, or like he'd be like, "If they're escaping here, wouldn't the Star Destroyer get them?"
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so, another thing that I think they really kind of failed on is they didn't utilize Bail enough.
Right.
And I was hoping for an ending where either the refugees are in trouble or Obi-Wan's in trouble, and Bail sends some of his people to help out.
No, that would have been cool.
Like maybe they dispatch the TIE fighters, and Bail shows up with ships, and they kill all the TIE fighters, so they're unable to report.
Man.
Just because he could be sitting in the castle and be like, "I'm worrying about Obi-Wan. I need to go help him." That kind of thing. And like there aren't moments like that, but that would have been very Star Wars and very logical to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, he didn't really have much to do other than showing his face. Oh God, Kumail Nanjiani. Oh Jesus. Oh God, where do I start with that fool?
I
I
got no
mean,
love.
I didn't laugh one time. I didn't laugh one time.
No, he wasn't funny. He was making jokes that like little kids would laugh at.
Yeah.
And then later on when he comes back, he's not funny at all suddenly. So he's not even trying. He stopped trying.
He's serious, like
All of a sudden Obi-Wan trusts him. I don't know.
I do like your idea with him. They should have played more into his fake Jedi kind of stuff. They
Right.
didn't use it nearly enough. They could have really gone places with that, but it was just a throwaway gag, and then that's all that it was. This dude, he's 0 for 0 for me. He didn't do it for me really. I mean, I guess I did laugh at him in Eternals, but he kind of annoyed me more than entertained me. So I mean, I don't know what you want me to say about it.
Yo, here's what it is. I used to like him when he was a pure comedian. He used to be on that show, sketch comedy show called Portlandia. And he was just pure comedian. And ever since he got big, he just kind of sucks. But I think that kind of happens to a lot of these people, right? But yo, real quick, we got to field these two questions, and then we've got to do final thoughts, and we got to wrap it up real quick. Okay? I'm sorry, I don't mean to rush anybody here. But other events are happening on stream tonight. First, Lainey says, and the dual voice was another beautiful moment. I think that was. Has anyone heard about what happened with James Earl Jones' voice? Courtney, you there? We may have lost audio from Courtney. But for those of you who don't know,
Can you hear me?
oh, wait, I can hear you now.
There we go. Okay, perfect.
Did you hear me? What I asked?
His voice. What happened with his voice?
Okay, so he recorded all the Darth Vader stuff, and his voice, because he's old, has changed,
Oh no.
and it's all messed up. So they kept it as the baseline, but they have a new computer. This is almost the vocal version of a deepfake, where they took all of the words he's ever said from movies. It's actually funny. He's actually recorded the Bible. I don't know if you know this.
Oh no, I didn't know this.
You can get an audio version of the Bible where James Earl Jones reads it. He read the whole thing.
That's kind of awesome, man.
So he's probably said anything that's any human could ever say, as
Oh
said
my
him.
God.
And they took it and they put it into a computer, and it regenerated sentences for him.
Wow.
So it's technically a computer. It's him, but it's a computer, an AI. Like,
Gosh,
doing
man.
it,
Okay.
so.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, he's an old man. I understand. It doesn't make it any less sad though.
And so he still gets credit for it, but they did have to do that. So like they're gonna have to, you know what I'm saying? They want all the old schoolers to still have credits in this, but there's gonna be a day where he cannot do voice for this.
Yeah.
The good news is a computer can now do it for all of us. So
I mean, look, he's in his 90s. I'm not even mad at that. I
right,
get
he's
it.
had a great run.
I get it. Yeah.
He was talking about that, and then what do we have? Hannah Banana say, "I love that we need ads to watch Mantis." Well, I keep it real, man. I'm the real deal. I'm blowing up, girl. How are
Yeah.
you friends?
Yeah.
Now that is the only way I listen or read the Bible.
Oh, Lord, here
Yes.
come Laney.
Oh, we should do it on stream. We should do this on stream. We should have sessions of him reading the Bible. Us hanging out, right?
Yeah, have Laney in there too. That would make it a real good dynamic.
Lord knows Laney needs it.
Oh, he called you a heathen, Laney. He called you a heathen, ma'am.
But final thoughts on the series. Your thoughts and your score, if you were to give it a score.
Oh God. Okay. So thoughts. It wasn't nearly as well written or fleshed out as it should have been. It was very surface level. It was very mid tier. It was very underwhelming. There was not a lot to it. Really, the only things I enjoyed was Vader when he wasn't being stupid, and then that final duel. With that in mind, I'm gonna have to go with. I can't see myself going below like a 70, so I think I'll go at about a 70 or a 7 out of 10. I'd be about there.
Yeah. Matt's giving it a 3. Matt, is that out of 5 or out of 10? I am gonna get, and everyone in chat, feel free to give us scores. If we're doing out of the 10, I'm with you. I'm probably 7 or 7.5. I have to watch it again, but I will tell you, like for instance, if I really like a show, I'll watch it each new episode twice. Those first couple, I had trouble doing.
Oh,
I watched these last 2. I watched episode 5 twice and 6 twice. But I remember like 2 and 3. I was just like, I don't need to experience that again.
Yeah. What a sad day.
Mandalorian, I watched like 5 times, bro.
That's what I'm talking about, baby.
And so out of Disney Star Wars, I gotta say the only real good stuff, because it is, they've given me like crazy waves of thrills, but the only true thrills, in my opinion, are The Mandalorian and Rogue One.
I could not have said it better myself. Rogue One, it's one of my favorite Star Wars movies. Mandalorian is one of my favorite Star Wars things. I can't argue with that. I cannot.
Yeah.
And that's where we're at right now.
I would even say you remember I was a huge defender of the sequels. But once again, I will admit that the sequels are movies that have great moments, but put together are not good stories.
I can barely remember Rise of Skywalker. I'm not going to even hold you on that one. Dude, yeah, I don't know. Last Jedi, the Praetorian Guard scene was great. Other than that, screw that movie. Yeah. And I guess The Force Awakens is all right. Rogue One, Mandalorian. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Rogue One is so good. Oh, that's another thing.
Yeah.
And my sister was the one pointed out this. She said when Vader first appeared in this series, it was only mid because it should have rivaled or been like dramatic the way it was in Rogue One.
He was a nightmare creature in that movie.
We hadn't seen him in 20 years, 30 years, right? Yep. And the first image we get of him, well, not first image, but when he really is ready to be a monster,
yes,
he appears in that hallway. That was crazy.
I mean, those dudes were screaming in terror. They were yelling, "Help me," banging on the door like they were running from Jason. It was amazing, man.
Yeah.
So now I hope Ahsoka is the next Star Wars thing. I think or is it Mandalorian?
I think it's Mandalorian.
Okay.
No, the next Star Wars thing is Andor in August.
Oh God! Oh Lord. Okay, I'm not excited.
Oh, actually, I'll tell you one thing that this series did do. It did stop me from, saying no to Disney stuff. Like if this had sucked all the way through, like halfway through, I was like, "This is sucking." If it sucks all the way through, it doesn't redeem itself. I will not review Andor.
Oh.
Unless everyone's saying it's great, but I'm tired of getting bamboozled. But I think this was good enough that I'll still stick around Disney stuff.
I'm glad to hear that, man. Because I just thought this is where Star Wars should live, that we should no longer get movies and just be on Disney Plus. But I don't know, man. This is the second time I'm getting proved wrong. So I guess we
Yeah.
just gotta wait and see.
We just got to see. We got to see. I want Kathleen Kennedy to get her stuff together. Matt says, great stream. Thank you, guys. Do you want to plug anything or shout out anyone, my man, Courtney?
Look, shout out to all you beautiful people, you know, listening to me prattle on about Star Wars and
This
other nerdy
gentleman,
things.
man.
I swear, I promise, and I mean it this time. Next time I'm on here or anything else stream related, you will see my face. I'm working on
Right.
it.
I'm sorry I didn't put up a picture of you. I should have put up a picture.
And yeah, other than that, look, Saberlight Nights. Thank you, Hannah. Yeah, the dream team for sure.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank you.
Saberlight Nights, we're all over the place, social media, YouTube. Come find us for some sporting good fun. And then yeah, I'm Shaolin Ice Boxer everywhere. So I'm on Instagram and like TikTok and all that stuff. So
You heard it here. Courtney Monroe of
yep,
Saberlight Knights, located out in Charlottesville, Virginia. If you're in the area and you want to learn how to fight competitively with lightsabers,
that's what we do.
this is the man who will teach you. You can even show up to competitions, whether you want to just watch or whatever and participate. It's a great time. Thank you for coming on Rogue Planet tonight.
Thank you.
Guys, this is the Fat Mantis. I'm going to be signing off in just a second ago. Thank you so much for stopping in. This is this week's episode of Rogue Planet. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Remember to keep tuning into Voice of the Fat Mantis and hit up the Fat Mantis across all social media, wherever I lurk. All nerd news and information and fun Star Wars stuff is still to come, as long as you just stay in touch with moi. Remember to spay and neuter your cats and dogs. And until next time, ciao for now.
Peace.
Boost.